What I'm
Oh yeah,
saying is,
no. A lot of broke men get
what I'm
women
saying is that
to the tune of most of the men in the black community. We don't have that kind of money, just generally. The average income is $47,000. While I don't think that is broke, and I don't think it's
and
fair
we
to call
also have
people
the
broke
lowest
there.
marriage rates, correct?
Huh?
We also have the lowest marriage rates, correct?
Correct.
Meaning that our income probably is playing a role in whether or not we
No,
get married.
because the stat right there that you would look to is the men who have money in the black community, as opposed to every other community, marry the least. The higher the income for the black man, the lower the marriage likelihood is. This is the reverse for literally every single other community. Come again. My question to you is, are you saying these men cannot find these soft, sweet, submissive women in the Western world to make them their wives?
I mean, it's just that it's less likely.
Gotcha.
But there's a
So
smaller
you think
percentage of traditional women in the United States than in some of these other countries. That's
so
their
you think wait. So you think they think there's a larger percentage of people who are sweet, submissive, and all of that in those other countries?
we'll call them traditional. Yeah,
Traditional, yeah. You think there's a lot more traditional women in these countries?
they think that.
Yeah, so they think that. And they're going there and they're finding them, I'm assuming.
I mean, they're finding them frequently enough to report back and gas up the rest.
Gotcha. Cool. And they can find them in America. Because it's not a lot, you're saying.
No, I'm telling you what the passport bros.
Yeah. That's what they think.
I don't necessarily want for myself.
No, I agree with you, and I don't agree with you, but I'm not fighting you. I'm just trying to understand. So my question then is, what do they do with these traditional women once they find them? Because they're not marrying them.
They are marrying them.
They're not marrying them. The stat says differently.
I mean, I don't have. Do you have statistics on?
Yes, there are stats on there. The extraterritorial marriages have not increased. Maybe in the future they will, but currently they have not. So there aren't a lot of people, men, black men specifically, getting married, period. And those passport bros are not getting married. In fact, multiple of them talk about all the girlfriends they have in multiple different countries.
This all depends on where you're getting your passport bro information from. Passport bros are every type of man. So you have
Yes, but do you agree?
those seeking marriage.
Name one passport bro online. Name one passport bro online.
Zoom to Thailand.
Zoom to Thailand. Is he married?
I don't know if he's married, but he's not broke. And
No, I'm not. We're talking about marriage right now because he is in Thailand. Austin is now with him in Thailand. Am I correct?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I am. Are these people married? I've just gotten very invested in the passport bros because I'm not emotionally attached anymore. So I am very aware of these passport bro. And one teacher person was also,
Andre and Andrea. That's
one teacher is one of the biggest content creator you guys have there. He actually reacted to one of my videos, and in his video that he now took down, he was showing all these men with all these women all over the world, and he pointed out that a lot of the content creators are above me because they have a lot of women all over the world. And one of his friends went to Thailand about, I think he said 50 times. He was exaggerating, obviously. But if he's going there because he enjoys the woman 50 times and he's not married, and every time he goes, he has a different woman, what does that say to you about what they're doing with these quote unquote traditional women that they have? Because they're not marrying them.
Well, first of all, not every passport bro is a content creator. So many
agreed, but the content creators are the one pushing the movement. They are the voice of it. To say all hip hop artists aren't gangster, I agree, but we're talking about gangster rap specifically. Are these men who are claiming that they want submissive women, when they go there and get these traditional women, are they marrying them? The answer to that is no.
I would say it's not a high marriage rate.
Yeah, so the answer is no. So when you say these women in America should be traditional, why would they be when they're not going to be married?
Are they marrying in the United States?
No, but the reason they're not marrying in the United States is because these American women, quote unquote, aren't traditional. So when you leave the US to go to another country where the women are, quote unquote, traditional, and you are still not marrying those women, what does that say about you and what you are looking for, and whether or not we can trust you that if these women in America were traditional, you would marry them?
It says absolutely nothing. The question you're asking is a leading question, because for one, the passport bros as a movement for finding traditional wives is a fairly new one, whereas men simply traveling and finding love abroad has been going on for a long time. So I don't know. I don't have too much faith in the passport bro movement in men finding wives, simply because most men probably don't have the money and the finances to stay overseas long enough to cultivate a long enough lasting bond with the women they find. But that doesn't mean that that's not their aim when traveling. You can aim to find a wife when travel and fail in the process.
Yeah, but you just pointed out that they cannot afford to, so they can't afford to have a wife in America. They're traveling and they can't afford to stay there, so they obviously can't afford a wife there either. The point of their excuse doesn't make sense. Ultimately turns on them not being able to afford it, period. But I'm not saying generally, I'm saying based on what you just articulated.
Yeah, based on what I articulated, is that traveling abroad is more expensive than staying here, in the sense that it's cheaper, but when you're here, you at least have a steady stream of income. Whereas if
you need to go talk to them and help them with their finances, because apparently they don't know this. They apparently they're like, it's cheaper to go over there. And it's like, okay, girl, but
it's cheaper to live there, but you have to have a steady stream of income to stay there.
Exactly. And I think you should help them with this. I want them to succeed and find love. And maybe if they had more money in these areas, they would be able to stay there and then they would get married. I doubt that. But I would actually like to see it, because I can't prove it.
They stay here and they don't get the results they want here. The women here,
they can't afford it. We already know they can't afford it here.
But the women
they admit it, that they can't afford it.
If they can't afford it, so be it, right? The women admit that you can't afford to attract me and maintain me. And so what is he supposed to do?
Wait, pause. I'm agreeing with you not because you're right. I'm agreeing with you for the sake of argument. I'm saying they've said they can't afford it here and they want to go abroad. But not only about affording, they're talking about soft, sweet, submissive, right? But we've all agreed that it's about affording, because that gives you an argument. The argument it gives you...
That's not my argument. I didn't say that they're leaving because they can't afford it.
If you are not arguing that they're leaving, wait. If your argument is that they're leaving because they want to find traditional women to make wife, I'm going to say, why aren't they getting married? And then your response to that is they're not getting married because they're not staying long enough there because they can't afford it.
Men finding wives simply because most men probably don't have the money and the finances to stay overseas long enough to cultivate a long enough lasting bond with the women they find. But that doesn't mean...
If that is the case, it sounds like a monetary problem. The money issue is a legitimate argument. I can concede to that being a legitimate argument. But the reason that it doesn't matter is, well, they can't afford it here and they can't afford it there. So apparently they just need to learn to get money. Ultimately it boils down to you need more money.
You almost had it. They can afford it here and they cannot afford it there.
Well, they're not. All right.
They have a steady stream of income here.
They can't afford it because the women here aren't they can't. None of the women don't want them here, so they can't afford it here.
Well, if you're saying women don't want them, why? Because of their finances?
Well, you just said women don't want them because of their finances. You said that here.
No, I'm saying that the women have said that they don't want them.
Okay, so so the women here don't want them because they're broke in their mind, but they're not actually broke. If they had this stream of income in different countries, then they would be. Yeah, great, but they don't. So now we need you to help them, hopefully, figure out how to get that stream of income
every man has to fend for themselves. I got my own thing to worry about. I do wish the passport bros luck, but I'm not a passport bro. I'm not investing energy in trying to move.
I agree with you, by the way.
I'm not interested in that, but I do understand.
I agree with you on, if passport bros want to leave, they should be able to leave. And I don't like the people like telling them not to and trying to find reason why they shouldn't. And why are you leaving? The only part I don't like is the part where the FBI and some attorneys are investigating for child, you know what I'm going to say. But outside of that, once they're consenting adults, I do think the imperial nature of the American dollar is also a problem. But I'm not going to argue that. People don't care. It's too complex and no one wants it. So go find love where you want. I wish them the best, honestly, but it just feels like they're lying, because they're like, oh, we just want traditional women. You can't afford it over there. You don't have the resources. So it
seems if they're misguided in their attempt, why do you question their intent?
Because your attempt is a problem. Your intent means less to me if you are, even, for example, if you're harming someone, I'm still going to have a problem with that, right? If you take someone's life, even the legal system is willing to point out that there is something as negligent homicide, right? So that you didn't intend to do it, which would have made it first degree or second degree or even manslaughter, but that you did it without the requisite intent would allow for that kind of negligent homicide. So even the criminal system is willing to say, look, I can prosecute for this because you should have had more foresight into what you just did. And the fact that you engage in behavior that could be harmful, even if you didn't mean to be harmful, then it's a problem. So yes, intent would matter. a lot more, and maybe they don't have the intent, but if their actions are unplanned, and then I can judge them for that too.
So who are they harming again?
I think that when I say American imperialism, did you not understand what I was talking about? Because I don't think
I disagree that. Well, I mean, I don't know exactly. I'm assuming what you mean, and I disagree with what I believe you're trying to say.
All right.
But
I mean,
you didn't say you're not going to elaborate on it, so I don't know exactly what you're saying.
I've done many videos about how we weaponize the American dollar in different countries, how we take diseases to different countries, how we exploit different countries. I've done videos on that, but that's generally what I'm talking about when I say American imperialism. And when I see Black men becoming the face of American imperialism, it scares me because Black men aren't the face of American imperialism. I don't actually care what the chat believes. I don't care what the people in my audience believe, but what I know to be a fact, when we talk about Western imperialism, it is a white specific problem. And I wish Black men, even if they engage in it, weren't as loud and obnoxious to the tune of now becoming the face of something that has been done by white men for ages. Ever since World War II, white men have engaged in this behavior, but they've done so silently. Black men decided to engage in the behavior and made it a move. They made it an online, like, you can't even make this up. It feels like the lack of foresight is just ridiculous.
So are you against travel in general?
You're not ashamed of yourself. Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
Oh God, no! I travel. I'm
What's
everywhere
the
every
difference
time.
between
Hold
a
on.
passport bro and a general traveler in terms of American imperialism?
Yes, but no, I
What's
do
the
think.
difference?
Huh?
What's the difference between being a passport bro and just a general traveler in terms of your American imperialism argument?
Do you think you can add to someone's culture while you appreciate it?
Yes.
Yeah. Passport bros are specifically going there because they believe in their articulation, the American dollar buy them more in terms of access to different kinds of women. That is a problem.
I think we're listening to different sources, because I said earlier, every type of man is a passport bro.
What is your source say about passport bros?
That they're looking for traditional women, right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that the passport
What is
bros
traditional women? No. What is traditional women?
If I could, it's their own definition of what a traditional woman is. But
no, because what you're trying to not do is you're trying to escape this idea of submission and the implication of submission. When you go to a country, when you go to a country,
what they're looking for. Yeah.
All right. So when you go to a country where the women barely speak English to the extent that they do, when resources are limited, and when the American dollar have purchasing power that far outweighs your local dollar, do you not understand the power dynamic that exists there? If you don't, it's fine.
That same power dynamic that women here are searching for when they want a man who makes more than them?
But we have a legal framework that protects, to some extent, these women.
And they don't.
But is it still not the same framework?
Are
these men not desirable here because the women say they're quote unquote broke, right? Meaning their income influences their level of attraction. So what's wrong with going somewhere where your level of attraction is appreciated?
Wait, come again about your income? Your income does what?
I said, you said that the women here find some of these passport bros unattractive because they're quote unquote broke.
No, you said that, and I said I would agree with you for the sake of argument. Now, if you actually want to debate that point, we can.
I didn't say they were broke. No. I said that they can afford the women here easier than they can afford them overseas. Because
so I'm saying they were broke because they can't afford the women overseas. But are you saying women in America don't date men because the men are broke? Is that an argument you're positing? Because we have research for that.
Obviously, some broke men get women, but what I'm saying is,
a lot of broke men get women to the tune of most of the men in the Black community. We don't have that kind of money, just generally. The average income is $47,000. While I don't think that is broke, and I don't think it's fair.
We also have the lowest marriage rates, correct? We also have the lowest marriage rates, correct?
Correct.
Meaning that our income probably is playing a role in whether.
No, because the stat right there that you would look to is the men who have money in the Black community, as opposed to every other community, marry the least. The higher the income for the Black man, the lower the marriage likelihood is. This is the reverse for literally every single other community. Come again.
But what I'm saying is, if we're getting a little bit sidetracked from what I was trying to get to before on why it's okay for somebody to use their income to attract women, because that's exactly how it works here.
No, that's not how it works here. That's how you believe it works here. But we just spoken about the fact that we don't have any money. So the fact that you guys are attracting women should be impossible. It's not impossible. It is happening. In fact, most of the data indicates that Black women specifically marry down educationally, that's academically and financially.
And they're satisfied with this arrangement.
I don't know if they're satisfied, they're doing it.
But what I'm trying to tell you is that even the women in America oppose this quote unquote 50-50 relationship. They expect not to have to carry a man financially. And a man's
No, that's
financial
not true.
standing.
No,
man,
Black women do not expect to not have to pay.
I don't know if I can get this out, man.
No,
Trying
because
to
I'm not.
connect 2 points.
You're making statements. You keep moving the goalpost, which is fine. I'm going with you.
Goalpost is steady. I'm trying to defend. I'm trying to kick the field goal, and you keep calling timeout.
All right, go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is, if a person's income is a source of attractiveness, it factors into the equation.
All right, then I'm gonna stop you.
You can't
there.
argue. You can't
No, so
argue
that's
that
what
it
I'm
doesn't
gonna
factor
stop
into the
you.
equation
That is
in the
not
US,
something you can just say.
but that it factors into the
You have to
equation in
prove
other
that. That's not. Is income attractive to women generally? Yes.
Okay, so what's wrong with that? What's wrong with using that same level of attraction overseas?
No, but that's
Well,
not the
it's
attraction you use in America. That's what I'm saying. Men don't have the money. Women wish men had money. Men don't have money, and they're still attractive to some women. A lot of women in the Black community, unfortunately or fortunately for some men who don't have the money, the women tend to be okay with dating down. In fact, the stat shows that Black men move into the middle class a lot more when they couple with Black women. By adding their resources, they can move into the middle class. Now you are going to say, you have said, well, are they happy? I don't care if they're happy or not.
The
Not
point
for
I'm
this
trying to
video.
make is, okay, let me just ask you directly. What's wrong with a woman in another country being attracted to an American man's finances?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
So then who cares if they use it to their advantage?
What is their advantage? That's the problem. What do you do? And the problem is we don't know. I think there can be great relationships formed, and that's fine. We're not arguing that. We're arguing whether or not these men can afford it. That's the first argument we were making. You conceded that they can't afford it overseas. Now we're talking about in America.
I didn't concede that I conceded that
you made that argument, so it wasn't even concession.
I'm not
made
trying to make it universal. I'm not trying to make it sound as universal as you're making it sound.
You made it, so you made the argument, and I just went with your argument.
I made the argument for why they're probably not going to. Most of them probably aren't going to find wives because they can't stay there long enough to make the connection. I never went as far as you. And
no, you did. You definitely did. You said they cannot afford to stay there long. You said they cannot. You said they cannot afford to stay there long term. That is your word verbatim.
You said no. Well, in essence, but what he said was
no. Cheeky, you can come in after. Mr. Know It All and I are speaking now.
My bad.
Are you denying that you said this?
Men finding wives simply because most men probably don't have the money and the finances to stay overseas long enough to cultivate a long enough lasting bond with the women they find. But that doesn't mean I said that I don't anticipate most men will be able to stay.
No. You said they cannot stay over there long enough because they can't afford it.
I also said that I don't anticipate.
Okay, so you said also, so you're admitting that you said
in
it.
a futuristic tense.
How much? Right? Not a futuristic tense,
that they will. But that doesn't mean that they're going over there for sex tourism. That's an entirely different argument.
We weren't even at sex tourism yet. I mean, I'm going to get to sex tourism, hopefully, but I never brought up sex tourism yet.
Exploitation. But what do you mean when you say exploitation? I can't. Is it not safe to infer that you were maybe talking about sex tourism since you've spoken that in the past?
You can exploit what? So, Mr. Know It All, all right, we've exhausted that. I appreciate you coming up. I think you have a point insofar as finances. And I think if they probably have a stream of income there, then they could stay there longer and probably make connections, and then we'll see marriages. I doubt we would see marriages, but if you have a way to get them to make the stream of income they're making here over there, then help them do that, because obviously the American dollar is stronger there, so they would have enough money there then. And then we should see an increase in marriages there. I don't know how you're going to do that, but as soon as you find it, you can let them know. I also know this is not your position. You said you were arguing what you understood from the Passport Bros. You also said that I don't listen to the right Passport Bros because apparently some of them are getting married. So please send me these suggestions. I will definitely look into that because I'm fair. If anything else, I try to be fair, even if I'm wrong. I don't mind. All right, cheeky banter.
One last thing.
Go ahead.
It sounds as if you're conceding that finances aside, they do intend to actually stay there. They're not just going.
I don't know what they intend, but I think if finances were good, then we could make a determination if they plan to domicile somewhere else. Like domicile, like you can move from some place to place, but like it's not that you're trying to live there. But what you do when you change your mailing address, if you do this or that or the third, then obviously that would be a great way to figure out if they're intending to live there. You conceded, and I agree, or you stated, and I agree, that we don't know what these men would do if they could make the money they made here overseas and were able to stay there long term. And maybe if they were, then we would see marriages. And I don't know, maybe that's
But
true.
I also take it one step further that I
Wait,
don't
go ahead.
agree. I don't think the evidence is there to suggest that they are not true to their intent. That's another.
What
I'm
is
gonna
their
take
intent?
the ones I hear about, and I'm like I said, there's a passport bro for every type of man. But the
What
ones
is
that
their
I hear
intent?
is
You said they're
not
true
to
to their
find
intent.
traditional women to be in relationships with or to be married to.
All right. So when you go over there and you find these traditional women, if you're not marrying them, it seems to suggest that you're not fulfilling your intent. And that's my stance. Now, if
But
they
if
were
you're in a
marrying
monogamous
them,
relationship with them, you are. If you're in a monogamous relationship with them, you are.
you're not marrying them. What do you mean?
How
Marriage and
you have to
relationship.
marry a person. For instance, you talk to
Then
Zoe.
no, you're not. You are not marrying them, which means you're not legally obligated to doing anything for them. So no, it's not. Being in a relationship and marrying them are two very different things. And I'm not gonna. No, we're not going back and forth on
But
that.
when
I
I brought up
apologize.
to Thailand, you pointed out that he's not married, right? But does
Yeah.
he not live with this woman and have a monogamous relationship?
I don't care.
So
I don't care.
it's not, you're not a passport bro until you get, or you're not. A
No,
successful
no,
relationship
you're a
until you
passport
marry.
bro. It's meaningless. You telling African American women and women, not just African American women, all American women and Western women, that the reason you're leaving is because you're not submissive and you're going over there to just shack it up with some woman and doing it with multiple other women. But for your case, one woman monogamously, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter because you don't have any legal rights to this man. So that's that on that. Nicole, thank you so much. All right. I am trying to be emotionally invested in conversations. I can't, because if I do, I'm just going to be annoyed. Cheeky banter, go ahead. Is this his real voice? Oh, I read that. Go ahead.
How you doing, sir?